Okay, we're here with Jamie Henderson, right?
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Here at the Individual Artists of Oklahoma show. And could you give us a little background? First of all, what's the theme of the show?
Sure. Well, the theme of the show is called Skin. It's basically dealing with interracial beauty, ways that we view ourselves, ways that we view beauty in other people, culturally, aesthetically. It's a pretty broad theme, so there are a lot of different ways to break it down.
Okay.
So,
how did you break it down?
well, these pieces in particular deal with objectification of women, primarily in the media, through imagery found in magazines, tabloids, billboard advertisements, in beauty and fashion industry. You can tell from the images here, these are appropriated photographs from magazines such as Vogue or any standard fashion magazine. The problem that I have is dealing with ideas of beauty. These women are printed mass products. There is no real beauty shown in their imagery. They're flattened out. They're on glossy magazine covers. There's no individuality. They have no worth. You don't know who they are. Notice in magazines such as these, you never have the model's name, things like that. And so what I'm trying to do through a singular recreation, which is just me taking their photograph and reproducing it in a way that can never be done again. This is just one image of one model. In essence, it's like paying homage or glorifying that one model who'd been objectified time and time again. So as far as process goes, what you have here, this is collaged dress patterns, and you can see this in the background, dress patterns. Of course, that's dealing with not only physical beauty, but also the way that media through the fashion and beauty industry have made women feel like they have to look for men or for each other, the way that we dress ourselves, what is attractive and what is not. So that's why I included that in my concept. And on top of that, all of these very gestural scribbling markings are created by a technique called monoprinting.
What's that again?
Monoprinting, which is you take a plexiglass plate and you apply oil-based color to it, and you can get these really interesting textures. You can scrape the paint off and just really make beautiful marks, and then you run it through a big press. I mean, these couple ton, they're huge machines, and you roll them through a press on a piece of paper. So that's how I got this color in the background, and then the image was applied last in oil paint.
Okay.
So that's kind of an idea of the process, a little bit of the content, and it's my hope that the viewer, through looking at these, would see these hollow facial expressions and kind of either associate themselves with the images that are depicted, or in some way bring to memory a way that the viewer has felt objectified in his or her own life. And this isn't just women, it applies to men too. Certainly men in the fashion world are also objectified and portrayed in a similar manner.
Okay.
So.
Who would you say are your influences?
Oh.
Maybe not just artistically, but in general.
Well, most of my initial influences are artistic. I would say Georgia O'Keeffe. I have always loved the way she models figures. Of course, she has the huge abstracted floral paintings, really warm, beautiful color schemes. She was also categorized as a feminist, and so a lot of people added a whole bunch of content to her pieces by saying that they were all feminine inspired, that they were all, they depicted vaginal references and things like that, which that is not what's being shown here. But as far as the idea of gender role and femininity in her work, that's influenced me. In addition to her, Frida Kahlo did a lot of really haunting portraiture. Of course, for her it was of herself, in a way to display kind of the inner angst that had happened to her through her horrific body dismembering accident. So she used that as a way of self-expression, as a way of medicating herself. But the main theme running through all of her work is this idea of the portrait that shows up here definitely in my infatuation with the female figure and with the face and things like that. And lastly, I would say the contemporary feminist idea of the male gaze has definitely been influential, and that is basically the idea that everything in culture, particularly anything dealing with beauty, is all viewed through the eyes of the male. Of course, you can argue that it's not always the case, but when you look in the media, a lot of times when you see women depicted in this manner, it's most often assumed that it's for a man. It's been cropped for men, it's been airbrushed so that it's attractive to men. So those are some influences.
Well, what can we look forward to as your next project?
Well, at the moment, I'm actually working on an installation. It'll be my first installation that I've ever done. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be recreating a catwalk, as in like a high fashion show catwalk, complete with 6-foot tall models that I'm going to be cutting out of masonite and erecting. And whereas the emphasis is on the objectification of women in print, I'm taking it one step further and dealing with the objectification of women in the fashion show, in fashion shows, fashion magazines, things like that, more on the television. So there'll be a 3-dimensional element as opposed to these are 2-dimensional because they're dealing with print, as print is 2-dimensional.
Okay.
So.
Well, is there a site for it yet? Where will it be?
Well, that I'm not sure yet. As far as where it's going to be installed, I'll have to keep everyone posted.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.